Well, here I am in Portugal. I've come here to do an aquaponics seminar, but I'm just so fascinated to have seen a cork tree, because, you know, in school when I was a kid I learned about Portugal, you know, when you're doing geography studies, and Portugal to me was the place where they made cork. So when I came here, the first thing I was fascinated to see these trees, and as I was driving past I said to the person who's driving, is that a cork tree? And sure enough it is. Let's go and have a closer look. I wanted to come and stand beside this big one because you can see where they've skinned the cork off, and we can actually see up there the thickness of the cork where they've taken it off. And actually it takes 7 years for the cork to grow back again. So they skin it off, and very carefully, evidently it's a very skilled job to get the cork off in you know, as big a piece as possible. And look up there, you can see the thickness of the cork that was on the previous layer. Look at it, it's quite thick. So you can imagine them cutting out of that you know, cork for your wine bottle and cork for you know, a notice board in an office perhaps. I'm just fascinated by the fact that we can see these cork trees. Here's a piece of cork, look a bit that there's this little insect under it, but here's a piece of cork, genuine Portuguese cork. How about that was left on the tree in its raw form. Look at that, beautiful cork. You know, it's so highly prized, I think, to have a beautiful cork notice board in your house, isn't it? And of course, wine buffs tell me that the wine that's stopped with a plastic top is not the same as wine that's been corked off properly with a proper cork. Now, I'm not a wine buff, so I don't really know, but I'm just told that. So that's fascinating, isn't it? Beautiful cork. Portuguese cork. This is just amazing. I was talking to Monica earlier in the greenhouse back at Alberta Nova, that's the name, Alberta Nova, and she was telling me that the cork trees are actually in danger. There's some virus that's getting into them, and this makes her work very important to preserve the cork tree, because you can see, if we just look around here, if we pan the camera around, we'll see that there are cork trees everywhere, and some of them you can see a number on them, and they write the number on there of the year they harvested last, because it's 7 years they have to wait for the next lot of cork to get off it. So you can see it's a very important thing to make sure it's looked after, because if the farmer who owns this land is going to get any crop off, he has to wait 7 years for each cycle of his crop. So it's a very important thing to look after the cork tree. And from my point of view, an Australian being here in Portugal, I'd be very sad if they lost the cork tree, because to me that represents Portugal.